In section 69, Tennyson continues to explain or think about or ponder about the dream that he had, that he started discussing in 68. Definition here, hoary hairs. Where is that? Anyway, in this case, hoary, here we are, line 10. Hoary hairs means white hairs, like hoarfrost. So from youth and babes, and hoary hairs means young and old. I love his description in line 2, nature's ancient power. I love that way of viewing spring, the yearly renewal of life. Nature's ancient power. It's this cycle that's been going on much longer than any of us, than anything else in our frame of reference. The planet rotates again so that the northern hemisphere is pointing towards the sun. The sun warms the earth. All the plants and animals start to wake up, and we get springtime again. Nature's ancient power. What a beautiful description. So in this section of his dream, springtime does not come. Something's broken. Something terrible has happened, and there is no spring. The winter just continues. And what's strange is Tennyson seems to be the only one bothered by this. He goes out into the woods. He makes himself a crown of thorns and puts it on his head. This is clearly a reference, in my mind, it's clearly a reference to Christ. And people just make fun of him and mock him for wearing this crown. Oh, you think you're so, look at your suffering, you've such the martyr complex. Look at you just parading around with this crown of thorns. The fool that wears a crown of thorns. And then an angel, he says an angel of the night, spoke to him, but he doesn't understand the words, and touched the crown, and the crown leafed out. It became like a laurel wreath. And so I'm assuming that then this angel of the night kind of heals nature and spring and puts things on a better path. Some things that we could unpack here. Tennyson is clearly identifying with Christ in his suffering. Christ wore a crown of thorns and people mocked Christ. Tennyson here is feeling like he identifies with Christ. People are making fun of him, and he feels that his suffering is significant. One difference is that Tennyson makes his own crown, and Christ did not. Christ, his was put on him by the people that hated him. There's probably more to that. Some of our suffering may be self-inflicted, and maybe Tennyson felt like he needed to continue suffering to prove his love, to prove that his love was true to Hallam, or to prove to other people that he really loved Hallam. And then, what else was I going to say? Oh, it's also odd that in the dream, no one else seems bothered by the end of spring, by the non-arrival of spring. Tennyson's the only one who understands the significance, the severity of what's going on. And I'm sure he felt this way with his friends when Hallam died, that Tennyson felt like the world had ended. And the people around him were like, yes, yes, it's sad, I know, it's just tragic that these things happen, but we've got to move on. And Tennyson says, no, this is devastating. And of course, both can be true at the same time. Things can be devastating, and we have to move on. Interesting. There's a lot to think about here. And the angel of night that heals the crown, there's a lot here. This bears further pondering, doesn't it? I dreamed there would be spring no more, that nature's ancient power was lost. The streets were black with smoke and frost. They chattered trifles at the door. I wandered from the noisy town. I found a wood with thorny boughs. I took the thorns to bind my brows. I wore them like a civic crown. I met with scoffs, I met with scorns, from youth and babe and hoary hairs. They called me in the public squares the fool that wears a crown of thorns. They called me fool, they called me child. I found an angel of the night. The voice was low, the look was bright. He looked upon my crown and smiled. He reached the glory of a hand that seemed to touch it into leaf. The voice was not the voice of grief. The words were hard to understand.